Welcome back to another episode of Minus Seven Sports, the new sports network. We are joined here today by Average Sports Dad,
Welcome.
Cousin Craig,
Yo, yo.
myself, the CEO and founder of Minus Seven Sports, and today our special guest, CT Betts.
Guys, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on here. Brett and I have been following each other for some time. He reached out a couple weeks ago, and I'm glad we were able to make this work and get it out on the books.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's our pleasure. So we'll be pretty brief today. We're going to ask you some questions. We'll go over some games too, because I know we love talking sports. We'd all want to know what your picks or what you think, what sides you want to lean. But first, I'll kick it off with question number one. So for you, CT Betts, how'd you get into the sports betting universe, first of all, and then why'd you decide to pursue it as a career? So just curious on your thoughts.
Yeah, so probably similar to you guys, been gambling probably since I was in high school. You think you know what you're doing when you first start gambling, and you really have no idea, right? So I remember being, 15, 16 years old in high school and, discovering betting on college basketball, thinking it was the greatest thing ever, betting $20, $25 with some friends. And then you have that friend that ends up having a debit card, which this is going back to like 1997, 98. And they're able to deposit into like Bodog Sports, something like that. You scrounge up like a couple $100 between a few buddies, and you start gambling. And you probably get off to a hot start, and then all of a sudden you think you know what you're doing, and it's very quick where the whole account's depleted, and you have nothing left, and now you're scrambling to get more money together because you're going to make it all back, right? So that's kind of how I got into it. And I always say this, I've been saying this for years. You got to go broke a few times in this business to actually figure it out. And it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. Because even in my 20s, when I went off to college, you really still don't have a clue what you're doing. You go broke again, and then you're getting side jobs and everything like that. And it wasn't until I graduated from college, I started working for one of my dad's friends who owned a bar, and he did some sports on the side, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he's looking at me. It's pouring rain. He goes, "Kid, I heard you're gambling around town. That's not the way to make money. You're going to come work for me, and I'm going to show you how to gamble." And I did. I went to work for him, and God rest his soul, he passed away. But he taught me, dogs and unders are the way to go. So I kind of got involved that way, started, getting a full-time job, making some money, and started gambling, like really gambling, and starting to do well. And this is probably when I was like 27, 28 years old. Did very well, ended up going broke again. And then when I turned about 30, 31, I met some really cool people, and Kelly was one of them. I went and entered the contest out in Las Vegas. We connected, became friends with her and her boyfriend, started sharing information about games. And she was like, between the two of them, they're like, "Wow, you really know your stuff. How long you been doing this?" We became really, really tight. I went to grad school at Baylor. She went to K-State. We had that Big 12 connection. She introduced me to a lot of people, a lot of professional gamblers, became friends with them. And now all of a sudden you're getting awesome information from a ton of people. Kenny White is one of my mentors as well. I met him through Kelly, and he's taught me a lot along the way. So I have her to thank for getting in the business and meeting a lot of cool people. And then, sorry to be so long-winded here, a little before COVID, I'd say around 2018, 2019, I was selling beer for a living. And I was in a store, got talking to the guy who is stacking the shelves, right? He's just filling the beer shelves and stacking the beer when the delivery comes in. Me being the salesman I am, was always taught to talk to everybody. You never know who's going to own the store. You never know who is the owner or the manager, whatever. So we start shooting the shit, and we start talking football somehow. And he's like, "Oh yeah, who do you like this weekend?" And I rattled off like 4 games. Totally forgot about it. Came back the next week, and he was like, "Dude, those picks went 4-0 last week." I was like, yeah, I gave those to you. Yeah, they did. And he's like, give me some more. I gave him a few more, right? Whatever. They did well. But I have no idea who this guy is. So the following week, I come in. He's like, "Hey, My sister-in-law owns this store. I just do this to help her out. I have a radio show on Sports Map Radio. Would you want to come on and do like a guest appearance for 15 minutes? Well, I've never done any radio or any shows or anything before. So, yeah, sure. If you want to have me on, I could talk sports. But, yeah, let's see how it goes. So, long story longer, ended up going on, and it went great. And I became the third guy on that show. The guy in the 2 chair and him weren't really getting along. He ended up getting fired. They hired me in the 2 chair. And I worked for SportsMap for 3-4 years. And then I got introduced to Dan Lifshatz, who's my partner in Boston on radio and everything I do now. And the owner of the show, he owned food trucks. He had to, he's like, this is your show now. Why don't you take it over? Dan and I took it over. We had a gambling show on Tuesday nights. We got really close. And obviously, as you guys probably know, Randall, you definitely know, Dan works for 98.5. Brought me in there, started doing the Saturday show with him, and the rest is history. It's I've kind of been doing this ever since. It's been awesome, and been gambling, I'd say semi-professional for about 7-8 years.
That's crazy. It's, man, the stories you could have from everything else you've done in college to going broke right before you're 30. It's some inspiration for us. I mean, I'm still in my young 30s, but something for us to follow. But no, that's really cool. I appreciate it.
So it's funny how you mentioned you kind of have to go broke in order to understand like truly what you're doing. I honestly do think that's the same in investing. I love everything about financial markets, investing, betting, predictions, futures, stocks, options, crypto, all of it. I'm a fool for all of it. And to your point, you kind of have to go broke in order to understand what you're truly doing, risk positioning, so on and so forth. I wanted to ask you, first and foremost, we're halfway through the NFL season, all right? Who are some of your pretenders and who's a real deal in your opinion?
It's a great question. So it sounds so ridiculous because it's so repetitive, right? Year after year. Yeah. But here we are, and you watched the Monday Night Football game last night, and the Chiefs are still my number 1 power rated team in the NFL. And I was saying this when Dan and I did all of our preview shows, and him and I disagreed. I said the Chiefs are still my AFC champion, and I think they're going to be better than they were last year. Just wait until they get Rice back. They might have a few hiccups along the way, but they're going to be absolutely dangerous if they could stay healthy this entire year. I mean, you got Coach Fatso, probably the best after what Bill Belichick is doing to his legacy. Reed will probably go down as the best when it's all said and done. You have 15, and you have Spags, probably will go down as the greatest defensive coordinator that there ever was. And it doesn't even matter. Look what he does with wide receivers. Like Juju Smith-Schuster was a dead corpse here in New England, and now has 15 throwing him the ball, and he looks like an all-star, looks like a Pro Bowl. So the Chiefs are the real deal. The Bills will be there at the end. That's going to be a great game this upcoming Sunday. I think we're going to get to talking about that a little bit later. I have some thoughts on that game. I think the Eagles are a pretender right now. I think they have a lot of problems internally. And I think you guys probably know this. I was screaming from the mountaintops preseason last year that Eagles were going to win the whole thing, and had a 20-1 ticket on them to win the whole thing. And obviously, as you guys know, cashed that. I know, like the last few weeks, they've looked better, and that was kind of a revenge game this past Sunday versus their rival. Scatterboo gets hurt there. They grind out the win, but I still think that their schedule is very tough the rest of the way. They're going to have a few more hiccups there. So preseason, my NFL Super Bowl prediction was the Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs, with the Packers winning. That's changed over the course of the season so far. I think the Lions are the best team in the NFC. And if they could get healthy and Campbell doesn't get in his own way, I fully expect them to win the NFC Championship. I actually played a couple exactas a couple weeks ago. I did Chiefs, Lions, with Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and Lions, Chiefs with Lions to win the Super Bowl. So that's probably a long-winded answer to your question. I think the Chiefs and the Lions are the real deal. I think the Bills will be there at the end. I still think that the Ravens are going to make the playoffs with Lamar coming back.
Whoa.
They're going to rip off some wins. Their schedule's very easy the rest of the way. And I was wrong on the Patriots. Hand up. I was completely wrong. I'm a diehard Patriots fan. Drake May's been unbelievable, but they're also an injury of Drake May away from being a pretender because he's playing at an MVP level right now that no one would have thought in year 2.
Yeah, I know cousin Craig is happy to hear that the Eagles ended up on your pretender list.
I'm a Steelers fan. My dad's from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
My mom's from Philly, but and such a good point on the Ravens. I am I'm a pessimistic Steelers fan, and I'm so sick of watching this team year in, year out start hot, and then everyone catches up to them. They go 9-8 and lose by 21 in the wild card round. Like that,
Right.
It's guaranteed to happen. I don't actually think they're going to make the playoffs this year. They have a pretty tough schedule. Their schedule is cake at the beginning.
The Steelers schedule, it's tough the rest of the way.
Yeah, they're gonna lose by 100 to the Colts this week coming up. So it's in Pittsburgh, but their defense is a mess, and the Colts look like juggernauts right now. So we'll see what happens there.
We're gonna talk about that game, I think, later on. You're gonna call me crazy, so I'm excited.
Hop off the Steelers, man. Nah, but I know CEO's been talking 49ers for a little bit. His kind of dark horse Super Bowl move, but they didn't look too good against Houston, which I didn't think was really that good of a football team. But could be just 1 week. You never know. I love the Lions out of the NFC, though.
Niners just have so many injuries. It's just year after year. And I agree with you guys. The Niners could have been a great dark horse. And if they could get healthy, they still will be.
Yeah, they seem to get the injury bug often. I don't know if it's like a trainer situation out there or if it's just a stroke of bad luck for the last couple years. But, yeah, it's been unfortunate for them. I got a kind of off-the-wall question for you. I want to hear a time like where you lost sleep. Like a lose sleep kind of bet where maybe you call it a bad beat, that kind of deal. Do you have one that sticks out in your mind, like a last second meaningless touchdown? All right, let's hear them. Rattle them off.
So probably the most recent one, and I didn't even really I did have a bet on it, but I'll give you the scenario. This is back in 2022. Beginning of December. So I say it was probably week 15 of the NFL. And you guys follow the contest out in Vegas, right? Yeah. I was in every year, I was in Circa Survivor. And there was about 15 people left. And it was a Thursday night football game. And the Raiders were playing the Rams, and you guys will remember this game when I tell you. It's when Baker was getting dealt everywhere.
Yep.
And
2 days of practice.
McVay had no quarterback, and no one wanted Baker, and they bring Baker in. Like you just didn't even practice. I think he flew in that day, from what I remember. So we decided to go with the Raiders versus a really banged up Rams team, and it was 16-3 Raiders with about 4.5 minutes left in the game. And I was watching it at the bar. I had a partner, and we're watching it together. And Baker just went unconscious. And it happened before we even knew what was going on. The Rams rattled off score after score, scored with 10 seconds left in the game to win 17-16. And I was sick to my stomach. I mean, we were right there. After that weekend, okay, put it this way. So that was a Thursday night game. So we figured we won that game. 4 minutes left. We're up 16-3. We're in the driver's seat. And we had the ball. That's right. We had the ball. We fumbled the ball. Mm-hmm. And say we won that night. After that weekend where the chaos on Sunday, there was 5 teams left. 5 teams.
And you
Yeah.
probably would have split the pot too.
Well, Circa, you have to go the whole way, right?
Oh, dude, I thought you could split it. Okay.
It's legit last man standing. What Circa says is, if there's a few people left, they will help put you guys in touch.
Yeah.
But Circa they do not help and split that. You have to be the last man standing. So you'd have to get lawyers on your own and whatever. Anyways, that's besides the point. That was really tough. I didn't sleep for days. Because my partner and I were so crazy too. We were so hot that year. I can't even remember, but we probably we were betting our Survivor pick as well. So we probably had a huge bet on them too. But where I was more sick to my stomach about going out of Survivor and being so close. Another quick short one is when I first started gambling and thought I knew everything. My freshman year of college, I was dating a girl who went to UConn. And that was back in 2004, I believe. And UConn played Duke in the national championship for hoops. I don't know if you guys remember this one.
Was that Emeka Okafor's year?
I believe it was. UConn won.
Yep.
And UConn was up 4 with, 12 seconds left, something like that, something ridiculous. I was given 2.5 with UConn. Game was over, up 4. Duke couldn't win. And maybe it was even less than 10 seconds. I can't even remember. Maybe it was like 3. And they inbound the ball, and Chris Duhon hits like a 40-foot shot, banks it in for 3 to lose by 1, and I don't cover 2.5. It was like my biggest bet I had ever made at that point, which was like $500. And it was like everything I had as a freshman in college. And I was there with my girlfriend, and she was just like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" And UConn just won. She's going nuts. And I'm like, "Yeah, you just don't understand. I lost everything."
It's bigger than this. It's bigger than the national championship.
Yeah.
Good teams win, great teams cover, as they say.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna pass it off. I gotta just say, I'm sorry Baker did that to you, but I love that dude.
He's a dude, man.
2 weeks in, I took him MVP, and he's had a bad past 2 weeks. So his value, I only got him at 13-1. I was sitting there. My wife's a Saints fan, so the more I thought about it, I was like, that division is horrible. So he's gonna be in the playoffs, which looks good on the MVP resume. And then he was balling. I mean, he was like second. Now everybody knows Mahomes is gonna win again, so it's not.
Yep.
It was fun while it lasted. So
I totally agree. He's absolutely gonna win again.
So I know, well, obviously you mentioned you do college basketball, obviously you do the NFL. I know you're probably considered a sharp in some of these sports, but what are all sports that you currently gamble in? Like what are your focus areas?
Yeah, so college football 1, NFL 2, and then college hoops. I don't do any NBA. So college football is my number 1, followed by the NFL, and then college hoops. I'll take it from January right through the tourney.
So, CT, you mentioned you kind of prefaced some of your stories like back when you didn't know what you're doing. Do you know what you're doing now, and what changes did you make in the way that you approach these games?
Well, I'll be honest with you. At the beginning of this season, one would think I had no clue what I was doing because it was a very, very slow start. Got off to a really, really rough, shaky start in both college football and the NFL. And one of the things, you can't get down on yourself, which I did. And you can't, and I'll be very transparent. I'm kind of a hothead. And I sometimes I let the emotions get the best of me. And I did at the beginning of this year. And luckily you develop friendships, and you have guys that you do radio with who know what they're doing, like my friend Dan, who was right there, and he's like, "Listen, you got to calm down. We know what the fuck we're doing here. This is a tough stretch. We got to right the ship, and we're going to right the ship." So instead of reading "Don't Kill Yourself" books, get back at it here. And this is a new day and a new week, and I did just that. And because he's right, I feel as though I am pretty good at this, because if you've been doing it this long here, and for betting the amount of money that I do, your kind of livelihood depends on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you got to get back to the grind here. And the last 3 weeks have been the best 3 weeks I've had in a very long time. We caught fire here. Just got back in the black on the NFL. Think I'm up about 1.5 units overall. I know that doesn't seem like
There you
much, but it was a really rocky start, like I said. And there was a stretch where I was down about 9 or 10 units in college football, and last 3 weeks we brought that back to down about 1.5 units. So.
Another quick question before I turn it over to cousin Craig. Do you rely more so on the eye test, or is there like a risk to reward ratio for the investors and traders out there listening to this episode?
I'd say I'm probably 70-30 eye test to numbers and power ratings. Luckily, like I mentioned his name before, Kenny White is a mentor of mine, and he taught me how to make numbers and make power ratings. Nowhere near as good as Kenny. I'll sit, and I don't get paid for touting Kenny, just so everybody knows. He's just helped me do very well in this business. And
Cha-ching.
if you want good numbers and power ratings, go check out his stuff, because it's the best numbers in the game. Him and his father are ex-bookmakers, legal bookmakers, and they know how to make the number. And by doing that and learning that whole process, and his algorithm really helped me kind of develop my own. Put that in with the eye test, and I'm standing in my office now. I have 5 screens, 5 TVs at once. I watch almost every single game every Saturday and Sunday, and if I miss it, I watch it on replay. My wife thinks I'm insane. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, I'm watching replays of the games on Saturdays and Sundays. And she's like, these games already ended. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I missed the game. She's like, well, you know the score. I'm like, well, I need to watch it as well. So it's a mix of that, a lot of things. And also, randomly answer your question, it's being friends with so many people, and you get talking to so many people that have different opinions on a game, right? So if I'm really strong on a game, and somebody I respect likes the other side, it's very good to kind of talk that out, and it helps along the way, because you could get caught up in, especially myself, no one could ever talk me off games, and my opinion was my opinion. And that's changed over the last few years, because I got caught with my pants down a couple times on games where a couple of my well-respected friends liked the other side, and I didn't give them the time of day to listen to their reasoning, and it cost me. So being able to talk to well-respected people definitely helps as well.
You say dogs and unders at the beginning. Is that... We all know Las Vegas became very nice and wealthy because the public loses. Is that because the public leans favorites and overs, or was there something else behind that?
I'm a firm believer, Craig, that you need to have a good mix, right? You can't always, the public wins, right? It's just, the public is going to win. They're going to have a few weeks of the year where they crush it, and the faves are going to come in, and then there's going to be weeks where it's dog city. And they're going to get killed. And then over the course of the year, it's going to be more dogs than favorites. And like you said, that's kind of why the sports books are open 24/7, and parlays and teasers. There's a reason why they're called teasers, and there's a reason why they pay so much on parlays. So I hope that was a good answer.
I get killed on teasers. I'm the clown that tries to mix up the 14, 13-point NFL teasers every Sunday. And I was like, oh, I'm killing this. And then I bet the teased over in the Bucks Saints game, and the Saints put up a whopping 3 points. And I'm like, I didn't know NFL games ever went under anymore. They get the ball at the 40-yard line every time. Like, you got to try to not score from there.
Go figure. You picked the only NFL game where there wasn't enough points to get up and over.
Yeah, there you go. It is what it is. All right, educational question sort of for you. Now, the days of like being able to cash out early, it's becoming more prevalent. I mean, people they always have horror stories, right? Oh, I could have cashed out and then I just waited one more play. And like I have a bad one. Last year, Justin Rose, I took him. I literally first time I ever asked ChatGPT for an answer. I said, "Who is going to perform well at Pebble Beach?" And they said Justin Rose. He was 170 to 1. So for me, I put $100 on him.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever, to 17,000. I had no expectations. So Saturday, after Saturday, he's leading. Sunday, like I'm looking at my cash out. I'm texting my friends. I'm like, do I do this? And they're like, nah, don't be a. And then he like bogeys 3 of the next 4 holes, and it goes to 0. And I'm like, that. So roundabout way, my question for you would be: is there a formula or a time where cash out actually becomes attractive? Is it a certain return you're looking for? I mean, that might be tough. If you got something 100 to 1, obviously your cash out threshold is going to be a little different, but are there some like concrete rules you abide by?
There's not concrete rules that I abide by, and anybody that knows me, I'm a gambler, right? But I'm a firm believer, and I tell my friends this who are kind of doing it very casually, and my friends who put 50 or $100 in, and they have a really long shot, and they have a shot that in the lead. I'll tell them, they ask for my advice. I say, listen, this is my advice to you, and I think this is the best advice in the world. If you need that money to survive, and that cash out will be life changing for you, then cash it out. If not, gamble.
Yep.
And aside from that is, so they don't really like that answer. They mainly want me to tell them to cash it out, right?
Right.
But I also say the cash out that they give you, they're giving you for a reason.
Yep.
It's a discounted price. You're not getting what you should be getting. So for guys like me, if I'm in that situation, I have outs, and I know we're not talking about a particular sport right now, but I have outs where I could go bet the other side live, or the other guy live, or for golf, go bet the field if Rose was leading by 3 or 4, and I can't really remember your particular tournament right off the top of my head, but you could probably go bet the field at plus 250, something like that, and you're getting a better return on that than the cash out button. Go bet the other side. Keep your Rose bet at the same time, you're going to make more money than what the sports book is going to pay you.
Yep, 100%. And I didn't either. So, look, lesson learned a little bit.
I actually have a perfect example for you that I have going right now myself, right? At the beginning of the year, I was a big Bama guy, and I still am. I bet over 9.5 wins for Bama. I bet Bama to win the national championship. I was touting Ty Simpson, and I said, throw some pizza money on Ty Simpson to win the Heisman at 30 to 1, which I did myself. I put $100 on Ty Simpson at 30 to 1 to win the Heisman. So my buddy, who I told to do the same thing, I think he put like $25 on it. This is a kid that lives a couple towns over from me, works a full-time job, and he's all excited right now. Calls me every day. He's, do you see the odds now on Ty? Should I cash out? Are you cashing out? And I'm like, listen, I was like, I have $100 on it, and it's going to pay $3,000. I mean, this isn't. I'm not doing anything. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. Like, you can't do anything at this point. We made a great bet.
Yeah.
If we win, we win. If we don't, I can live with it at the end of the day. He said, well, should I go bet Fernando Mendoza? I'm like, no, the odds on Mendoza suck. Why are you going to go make that bet? He's going to bet Mendoza here. So it's very hard for him to comprehend it, but that kind of gives you a little bit of a narrative of kind of what I'm dealing with at the same time. That's kind of similar to what your question was.
And I know Average Sports Dad's Texas Stan, so the fall of the Manning boy has helped your situation.
Yeah, it definitely has. That's for sure.
Chill, Craig. Chill.
A couple weeks ago, and I didn't even know this until recently. A couple weeks ago, I said to my buddy, who's an Ohio State fan, and I'm like, listen, we got to get involved here somewhere or the other, and the odds are terrible right now. And he's like, all right, well, what do you got? And so I'm like, well, I like the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and I think Ohio State's going to win the national championship. So we put those things together and we ended up getting 22-1. So then I forget who I'm telling about it, and they're like, "Oh man, you're fucked." And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, BigCat just gave that out on his podcast
Oh,
the other day."
no.
I'm like, "Oh man."
No.
I was like, I don't ever really put a lot of stock into any mushes being on my side. I don't really put much stock into that. So then this morning I'm getting ready and I'm sitting on my computer and I throw on Fox Sports, and sometimes I'll listen to the Barstool show, right? I forget what they even call it, but it's on Fox Sports. It's early in the morning. I turn it on and go figure. There's Big Cat touting KC Ohio State parlay, and he's saying how he has 20-1 and how it's 17-1 now, and everybody needs to get on it. I'm like, oh Jesus, here we go.
The big game Dave, I don't know if you, I know you're probably not just following what Portnoy does, but he puts out his units are obviously different. Big bets, and he seems to do all right there. I don't know if you just saw it was today or yesterday. He posted he took the Patriots to win the Super Bowl. So I don't know. He got decent odds on that. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but they look good right now.
Yeah, I think we've been seeing a lot of Dave's winners, but we don't.
Yeah.
What Dave's losers we don't see, and I can assure you, Saturday and Sunday.
Content reasons, content.
Yeah,
I think I saw a few of Dave's losers. I think he was getting choked by a belt or something. That's another topic. CT, are you on all of these apps like FanDuel, DraftKings, Prize Picks, Underdog? Like, are you on all of these apps?
So the only app I'm currently on right now is FanDuel. DraftKings 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the first time that UConn won the national championship, I had a pretty big bet on them, 25-1 in DraftKings to win the whole thing about halfway through the season, and it hit obviously, and then they cut me ever since. I'm probably about them just because I wasn't even betting like sharp shit through them, just because that one future, and I probably can make about like an $8 bet right now through DraftKings. So that's not worth it to me to have anymore. FanDuel is a lot better, and I'm not sponsored by FanDuel. None of my shows are sponsored by FanDuel. Actually, one of my partners works for DraftKings, and I'm not allowed to bet there. But FanDuel takes a decent bet from me. I use FanDuel. Ended up getting cut from Caesars last year during football season. Can't really play there. I bet mostly with local guys.
So what do you mean you got cut by DraftKings?
Like I can't, if I wanted to go and make a $100 bet, they wouldn't take it from me. I'd go and put it in $100, and they'd come back and say, yeah, they'll take $6.80.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
Books aren't in the business of losing money, so
yeah, and unfortunately, DK is very notorious for doing that. I have a lot of friends that had something similar happen to them, and a lot of guys that weren't even really sharp either. They were just betting big and ended up hitting a couple plays and won, and they don't like that.
I've always told Brandel that those stories actually are real about sharps or people that do well. Some books do not take their action just because they do pretty well, and he never really believed it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm glad he's getting a first taste of it.
That's
it's
insane.
A real thing. And I have a couple good friends out in Vegas that live out there, and luckily we do business together, and them living there, they have access to the Circa app and Westgate app, which are really two sharp books. And they take big bets out there. So I could text or call them. I have money in their accounts and say, hey, hit this game for me. And, it will go through, and they take it. It's nice having books that take action like that.
Oh, John Murray.
So that actually
his show.
John's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy.
So that actually leads into my main question. So Vegas reported that their physical sports books had a decline of almost 20% in 2024. If that trend were to follow in 2025, that would be rated one of their worst years of revenue and profit ever. Where do you see the future of sports betting going, and what do you see the future of Las Vegas being?
So I'm surprised by that stat that you just rattled off, because it seems to me that around here in the Boston area, kids from the age of 21 to, I'd say, 40, yeah, 21 to 40 aren't drinking as much, and they're gambling a lot, and a lot of their money is going into gambling and into the DraftKings and the FanDuel websites, and they're losing the few $100 extra that they have a week, and then not being able to go out and spend it on drinking or partying. So I'm shocked to hear that stat that you rattled off. I don't think sports gambling is going anywhere. And I think that the strong will survive. Kind of like in the beer industry, you see like Bud Light, even though you had that decline, they've came back after that few years of the whole debacle they had. Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light, Guinness, those are all the leaders, right? But then you have like the craft beer segment, where you see a new craft beer, a new IPA all the time, and you're starting to see those companies go out of business, right? And the big name brands are the ones that are staying afloat, the ones that have money. I think that's very similar to what we're going to see in sports gambling. The ones that have money are going to stay in business, and the ones that don't are going to go out of business. And we saw it happen, Randall, here in just a few towns away from you and I, in Everett. The Wynn Casino. I'm not really sure what happened there, but they were losing money, and it did not go well for them. And they were taking bets that they couldn't handle, from what I hear, and they had to shut down. So now you can't use the app, the Wynn app. You have to go to the window, and they're barely ever open. There's never any ticket writers there. It's ridiculous to place a bet. But the sports book like DraftKings, FanDuel, Circa, Caesars, MGM, those ones that have money, they're not going anywhere. But the ones, the middle, lower tier ones that you've never heard of, like Fanatics, I'm shocked that they're still in business right now. They'll be going out of business soon. Bet ESPN, they don't have no clue what they're doing. Do they have money? Yes, but they also don't have the right people in charge running their sports book in order to make money. You also have to have the right people in the risk room and writing the tickets. And there needs to be some sort of somebody saying, "Oh wow, this guy just put in a pretty big bet on a prop. We should take a look at this and red flag that. There's a reason why this is coming in right now. Maybe we should look at that account." A lot of those sports books, the smaller ones, don't have that, and those are the ones that are not going to make it.
No.
Wow, that was good.
I know you,
loved that.
B. I know you got a question on like a little red flag situation that seems to be popping up in the sport of basketball right now. I don't know if you want to go ahead and hit him with that one.
Yeah. Obviously the elephant in the room for the NBA with the most recent scandal between Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier. CT, where do you think the NBA goes from here in regards of regaining the integrity of their sport?
Randall, I think that is a very simple answer. I think that it's crazy that it took this long for something like this to come out. I think there's probably over 100 more of these that never came out. Who knows if they will come out? There's way more people involved, way more referees involved, more mob involved. This is only the beginning. Where they go from here, I think in about maybe 2 months from now, maybe less, Randall, there's something else is going to happen, and we'll be talking about that. It's just going to get swept under the rug, and the NBA is going to just carry on, and it's all about the Benjamins, right? And nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. This is still going to continue to happen. There's going to be a new Chauncey Billups. There's going to be a new Terry Rozier down the road from this, and our kids will be talking about this when we're gone and passed away here, about how the new up and coming coach and guy in the NBA shooting guard is under review for a scandal like this. This is not the first time it's happened, and it won't be the last time.
Yeah,
Oh, Tawny.
yeah, that's what I was about to say that, and then I forgot when I
Interpreter,
watched him
what?
play last night. When I watched him play last night, I was like, this guy's a model citizen. Like I just it completely skipped my mind that this guy was like running bits through some guy. And ESPN, I even think, I don't know if you saw that special. I saw like 10 minutes of it. They got the interpreter's bookie to sit down, whoever that guy is, to sit down for an interview. And I'm like, okay, how legit is this? I mean, did they just give him $100 and say clear his name or whatever? It's very strange. But yeah, like you said, it's all about the money.
Yeah, you're right. Like Otani, look at Jordan. I mean, they swept that under the rug because he's the greatest of all time. Go play a different sport. That was their way of solving things. Go play a different sport for a couple of years, then you could come back.
Yeah, I know.
So
We're
we'll get
so
to the fun
back,
part now.
baby. All right.
Yeah. And we're going to get to the games, the fun part for CT. I know this is what we all love talking about, the games, what's upcoming for this weekend. Me as a diehard Texas fan, I definitely want to get your interest on this. As we know, we leave emotion at the door when we start betting. I've only bet Texas twice this year. Myself, personally, I am laying the points again this week against Vanderbilt. It's a big game. One of the big top 25 matchups of the week. We got number 9, Vanderbilt, visiting number 19, I believe it is, Texas, this week in Austin. Texas' first home game in 42 days. So, CT, what are your thoughts on this Vanderbilt-Texas game?
Yeah, Bray, I think you're going to be happy to know we're totally aligned here. I agree with you. I'm on the Horns this weekend. I bet -2.5, but I don't care. I don't think it's going to matter whether it's Arch or Caldwell. Doesn't matter for me. When it went down to 1 again yesterday, I rebet it. A term I like to use is when I bet it on Sunday, they shoved it in my face, right? They came back and they said they didn't agree with my side, and Texas gets banged down to -1. But I went back for more, and I played Texas for -1. And like the Vanderbilt love, right? It's the big love story in college football right now. And Diego Pavia, he's been a dude. How many years has he been in the league for? It seems like forever. It's wild, and he's just constantly fighting and threatening to sue if he can't play another year. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I'll give him his flowers. He's looked great for the most part, but the last few weeks he's kind of had trouble throwing the ball. I fully expect for more sharp money to come in on the Horns, and I expect them, whether Arch plays or not. I think they'll still end up closing as the fave. Although I don't know. I mean, the love for Vanderbilt has been so real, and the public loves this team. I could be totally wrong, and they could come back in on Saturday or Friday and Saturday and blast more Vandy, and I'll just keep coming back on Texas. But it reminds me a lot of the Red River Shootout game, which was Texas was one of my biggest plays of the year. I stood here on my shows and podcasts, and I said, I didn't care whether it was Mateer was back. I didn't care whether it was Hawkins. It didn't matter. Texas was going to win that game, and they win it by running the ball, by Sark's game plan, and by their defense and special teams. And that's what they did. Might see the journeyman, Caldwell. Kid, I think he was at Jack State. Gardner Webb. Troy. Now he's a senior journeyman. He ends up as the backup for Arch. I think he's in a unique spot here this weekend. Senior backup, nothing to lose. The word from my Texas guy is he's going to go out there and absolutely let it rip. Heard he excels in the RPO. I think he could give the Vandy D some problems here. And that Vanderbilt offense hasn't seen anything like this fucking Texas D. So they're in a rude awakening, and you bet your ass the game plan from Sark is going to be really good. Going into Austin is going to be a really, really tall task for Vandy this weekend. So, guys, I think the fairy tale story ends this weekend for Vanderbilt. and Sark will get the win here. And I think what they really needed was to go down big and come back and beat Miss State there to get things going and maybe get a little bit of a wake-up call here. Texas by double digits. I'm way off market here. I made the game 8.
Wow.
I made Texas favorite. Yeah, I'm way off here. My numbers are way off, but
CT average sports dad, I'm gonna have to disagree on you here. I'm taking Vandy plus 1.5, but
sure.
this is not an indictment on you guys. This is an indictment on Steve Sarkisian specifically, and I'll tell you why. Since 2020, Texas is 500 money line versus ranked teams. 500. Now, for as much hype as Steve Sarkisian in Texas gets, they're 500 against ranked teams money line. Like, I actually think Vanderbilt blows Texas out this game, and this is the game that starts the talks of Steve Sarkisian being on the hot seat. We'll see. We'll see.
All right. Hey, I mean, that's why they play the game, right? I was just gonna say, power rating wise and my numbers wise, and this might seem totally crazy, but it's just how my algorithm is. Texas is still my number 8 power rated team in the country, and Vanderbilt's 20 for me. So I gotta play I'm playing my numbers here more than the eye test. This is at the end of the day, Brett. This is 4 and 5-star kids versus 2 and 3-star kids.
Yeah.
Okay? So, I mean, the talent gap here is so ridiculous, it's not even funny.
So,
Yeah,
CT, another funny thing to mention here is so at -7 Sports, we like to integrate AI with sports and entertainment, and
Sure.
our AI is actually on Vanderbilt as well. So that'll be fun.
I haven't dipped too much into the AI thing. It's my wife thinks I'm crazy. I have no idea what is going on with it and how I haven't used it yet.
ChatGPT and everything else out there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Cousin Craig, good.
Second game, if you want to touch on Miami a little bit, I'm not sure how much you've studied with them. They're at SMU.
I can talk any game. Yeah, no problem.
They're given 11.5. Or sorry, I guess it's 11 now is kind of the line. But what are your thoughts? Brandon's a Miami fan. We got a couple buddies who live down in the area, so they live and die by the Canes. Did not look very good against Louisville. Looked pretty ass against Stanford first half, and then they ended up turning it on second half. But what are your thoughts on Carson Beck, and what do you think about the game this weekend?
Well, Randall, you're going to like how there's a few sharp books that I'm looking at the odds screen right now. Circa is 12.5. I'd say that's a pretty good sign for you because this opened 10 and it got bet up quickly. So sometimes the books make a bad number on the opener, and it looks like this might be one of them. I was down at the Iowa game last week, so I wasn't able to watch too many of the 2:30 my time games. So that would be the 3:30 game. Was this a night game, the Miami Stanford game?
Yeah,
I didn't see it.
7
But I saw
o'clock
it was
Eastern.
they got a slow start, right? 7-7
Halftime.
and then Beck. Right, okay. Halftime 7-7. Beck kind of settled in there, and they run. They don't score the rest of the way there, and Miami rips them, right? 41-7 or whatever it was. But I think SMU, this would be more of a play against SMU and not a play on Miami, because SMU has just been pathetic, and they were pathetic last week. Lost a Wake on the road, 13-12. And this has just been kind of a mess since last year's ACC championship game runner-up. Everybody thought that, bringing Jennings back, that they'd be right back in the hunt. And this version of SMU it's a far cry from the one that played in the college football playoff last year. And I have a lot of respect for Rhett Lashley. And he's done a really, really good job with this program. But you blow that win to Baylor at the beginning of the year. You lose last week to at Wake. You can't put up more than 12 Just seems like the wheels are kind of falling off, and Miami needs to keep on winning here. We know that. They're kind of on a mission here to get to the college football playoff. Louisville, that was just kind of like one of those games, man. You have those games in college football. You have a hiccup or two, and that was just one of them. And Brom just put a good game plan together. He's a really good coach as a big dog. So kind of just a bad spot for Miami. Think that Beck will settle in here. Miami should be fine. The only side I could have in this game would be Miami. But would I lay 12.5 after opening up 10? No, I'm mad at myself that I missed the opener and I didn't bet 10. But yeah. I'm not taking it with SMU either.
Yeah, Miami. I always felt that that Louisville game, especially after the little bye weekend that they had, would be a tough spot for them. When you look at Miami over the past couple of years, they don't typically lose on the road. They lose the games at home that they're supposed to win by a lot. So we'll see. I've been screaming it from the top of my lungs before the year even began. I think Ruben Bain is the #1 overall draft pick in 2026. There's no quarterback this year that's just taken the mantle. So I think Ruben Bain is the one. I think he's the guy. He's him. I don't like betting on or against my team, so we'll see.
Sure.
I'm gonna just enjoy the game. With the recent firings, CT, from Penn State, Florida, LSU, who are you looking to like kind of come into those problems on this coaching carousel?
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting, and one that hasn't been talked about yet it's near and dear to my heart is Baylor, because I think Dave Aranda is going to be next to go, and I'm not sure they probably let him finish out the year. Well, it depends on what happens this weekend when they play Central Florida, because if they lose this weekend versus Central Florida at home, he's probably going to be joining the rest of these coaches here, and Baylor will be replacing him as well. I've heard from some pretty good sources that, and this is a pretty good info here, that it's a done deal with Matt Rule to Penn State, that he will be signed before December 2nd. I think that's the day that they have, the college football has made for coaches to kind of and to be able to sign before the college football playoff, that he will be leaving Nebraska, won't finish the year, will sign with Penn State, and he'll be down there. So that's from a pretty reputable source there. Another one, and might seem shocking, is I've heard that Kalen DeBoer is really unhappy himself down in Alabama.
Wow.
Team's been doing great ever since they got rocked by Florida State. And they righted the ship here, and I hope they continue to, because I have over 9.5 wins, pretty big. But I heard he's not happy living down in Alabama, not happy with the culture down there and the way they run the program, and his family's not happy either, and they want out. So that's kind of weird, because after losing to that Florida State game, how tough of a schedule has that Bama schedule been ever since? It's like ranked team after ranked team, and they've been somehow getting it done. And now you have the Bama faithful behind you, and they have accepted you after replacing the greatest of all time in Nick Saban, and he's unhappy there.
In the black hoodie.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, really interesting to see what happens at LSU. I don't know. Is Lane Kiffin? I think he's pretty happy in Ole Miss, but it fits him very well, right? The expectations aren't as high as LSU, Georgia, Bama, right? He's right there, and he wins enough games, right on the edge of the college football playoff. If he wins out, they get in this year. I feel like that fits him. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I fall on the Lane Kiffin piece right there. I was going to say real quick on the Lane Kiffin piece, I think it's Florida or Ole Miss. I don't think LSU's in that conversation at all, in my opinion. I think he's a Florida guy first. He loves fishing. He goes to Florida every year for vacation. I think he has a house down there, I believe, still. But I think it's either Ole Miss or Florida, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I would agree.
So CT, before we let you go, let's break down a few NFL games as well. Are there any games that you have your eye on this weekend?
Yeah, that's perfect. So, kind of like Craig said, right? I'll let you lead me into this one, Craig. You were bashing your Steelers, especially after that loss there on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, I have my expectations of Pittsburgh Steelers are I don't want to say Super Bowl or bust, and I haven't came off of those yet, but I just want to see a playoff win. And I don't think Mike Tomlin's the guy. Terrell Austin as a defensive coordinator is clearly horrible. They have the highest paid defense in the league, and they are getting thrashed by Joe Flacco, who was there 10 days, and then they completely crap their pants second half at home Sunday Night Football. All that to say, the Colts are coming to town. Colts look like a juggernaut. Jonathan Taylor is single-handedly saving my fantasy team. What are your thoughts here? I gather from your tone you might be leaning black and gold, but let's hear it.
So I'll say this to go back to the Sunday Night Football game, right? I didn't have a play in the game. I was watching the game and watched the first half, and I'm like, it just seemed like a spot where LaFleur was going to put a good game plan together for a second half. I made a really small bet on the Packers second half, but I'll say this. I'm not sure that it was the Packers game plan and the Packers play than it was the Steelers making some dumb mistakes, giving them ball tied with a couple of bad calls. Because me being on the Packers, Steelers got hosed, and especially on that that offsides non-call where they went to back and they're talking about it. And right when they're talking about it, I'm like, well, they didn't call it right now. They're not going to talk about it and then throw the flag. It just doesn't happen that way. Although it should have, because it was clearly offsides, and there's no one better than Rodgers reading that and knowing that he has a free play, which you could tell the way he went crazy. He thought he had a free play, which should have been a free play, as we all know, offside. So I'll say that. And Craig, you know better than anybody what happens to Rodgers when something doesn't go his way. Well, he's like a 5-year-old kid, and it's all in his head. And it's after that, I said to my wife, well, we could go to bed. She's like, "Why?" I'm like, the Packers are going to end up steamrolling him right now. Was Rodgers is in his own head, and that's exactly what happened. If Rodgers could keep his cool and keep his head, like this could be a really, really good team. But it's just ever since he's left Green Bay, he has that like chip on his shoulder, and he's kind of ruining what he's had and his legacy by acting and carrying on like this, going on the McAfee show, being a baby, and just it's like a 5-year-old kid stomping his feet when he doesn't get his way. That's what he reminds me of. With that all being said, as much as the Colts have been smashing everybody, they've only played one game outside this year. And yeah, they've been smashing everybody, but guys, the strength of schedule hasn't been great. Like there's a ton of teams in the league that would probably be 7-1 as well if they had the Colts schedule. Dolphins, Raiders, Cardinals, Titans twice. I mean, yeah, okay, 7-1, and I'll give it to you. Yeah, Danny Dimes is playing great. Where'd that come from? Well, Craig, if you didn't have Jonathan Taylor carrying your fantasy team, who knows what Danny Dimes would be? Because if the Colts didn't have that run game and establish that, Danny Dimes would be on his ass more than half the time. I think the Steelers could put a good game plan in place together this weekend. This is going to be a Joes versus pros game here. Everybody in the world is going to be on the Colts, and that's not why I'm going to be on the Steelers here. But I do like how I'm going to be a home dog here. That's not a very bet play. It's going to be a very, very public play. Lay it with the Colts. Seems like free money. That's what my buddy told me this morning. I'll be on Pittsburgh here. I think they put together a good game plan, and I think they win this game outright.
I always wait. My strategy is much less professional than yours. What I do at about 12:55 Eastern on Sundays for the 1 o'clock games. I go into this little site my friend sent me, and I see where the public money is, and I always
there you
just
go.
take the opposite. And
Usually
so
works out in the NFL. Last few weeks it hasn't.
I might end up being on the Steelers too. I'm just I'll make a game time, like a noon decision on Sunday, and we'll see what happens. But I will say, watching the Steelers play, whether or not I am emotionally attached or not to them, it is so much more fun with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I went through the years of misery with Mason Rudolph. You had Kenny Pickett. You had Big Ben. His last 2 years were trash.
Right.
And I'm like, it's fun. It's good to see a competent quarterback finally, and that's a small win. So.
Yep. Totally agree. And Tomlin's a coach, as you know, that's going to put together, 8-9 winning seasons year in and year out. And if they could just avoid Rodgers having his mental breakdown, as tough as the schedule is, they could rip off more wins here.
Sports that.
As I say, I have no opinion on the Colts Steelers game. I do lean the Steelers, as you mentioned, a home dog. So I was going to tell you, CT, my best bet, and you tell me how crazy I am. But this week, my best bet is the Denver Broncos. But I have not played it yet because I know the line has gone from Broncos favorite to Houston favorite. The reason for that is this is strictly a play on the schedule and also a play on the Houston Texans offensive line being one of the worst in the NFL. So Texans have not beat a playoff quarterback yet. They've beaten Cooper Rush, beaten Mac Jones, which when you look at the schedule, I also heard this last week, it's a non-conference, non-divisional game. The Niners probably didn't really get up for that game. So obviously playing out of conference, non-divisional game, they probably weren't as up as they would normally be. Broncos have the Texans on the road, home versus the Raiders, then home versus the Chiefs. That look-ahead game is going to be against the Raiders, I think. I know the line's already early opening line's 10.5. Probably might take the Raiders, might get a better number later. So I think the Broncos get this one pretty easily. I think Sean Payton's going to go in there, try to really establish that first number one seed in the AFC West as long as he can before the Chiefs take it over. So my best bet's Denver Broncos. What's your power rating telling you on that one?
I lean Texans here. A big part of it is just because Surtain being out is just such a big piece for that defense, right? And they were able to sustain it. On Sunday versus I actually had the Broncos on Sunday versus the Cowboys. Yeah. And they were able to get through that game without him because they had a great game plan going in there, and that the offense for Dallas on the road is just a totally different offense from what you see when they're at home there. But I think that traveling here on the road to Houston is going to be a taller task for the Broncos here. We saw what they did a couple weeks ago, and that was versus the Giants, having to score, how many points?
19-0
there.
33.
Yeah, I mean, that was ridiculous. I feel like that coming back from or after that game, you get that fourth quarter bump, and that was my reasoning for being on the Broncos this past week, because you play 3 quarters like shit. You come back with that fourth quarter, you play balls, lights out, balls to the wall, you get that win, and that carries over into the next game, which is at home versus a defense that is very shreddable. But I agree. I mean, the Houston line is just absolutely trash, and who knows what Stroud we get and see. But I'm just a little more weary of playing Denver on the road than I am at home. But I get your points for back in Denver there.
Yeah, I'd say they could be 8-0 on game winning kicks. Sure. The Colts and the Chargers. So it's weird how they could be 8-0 or 6-2. So CEO, back to you.
Yeah, we keep interrupting each other. Last but certainly not least, the Chiefs and the Bills, the battle between the two AFC behemoths. CT, what you got right there?
KC lane 2 on the road. And what do people remember? When they look at a game like this, they remember what they saw last. And what they saw last was Kansas City absolutely throttling the Commanders last night in the second half.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to contradict myself. I just told you guys when we first came on, the Chiefs are my #1 power rated team in the NFL. They still are, and they probably still will be after this weekend. But I'll be back in the Bills this weekend here. So give me the 2. The Fox game of the week, 4:30 in Buffalo. Like what I saw out of Buffalo this past Sunday, even though it was versus Carolina team, but that was a much needed win to go on the road there, get some confidence, score some points, play good on defense, especially because they've been so banged up on defense. I know Ed Oliver probably gonna be out for a little while, but should get Milano and Jones back. Expected to return soon here. KC's good. They're better than they were last year, but this isn't a great situational spot for the Chiefs. Buffalo, one of the best home field advantages in the league. Kansas City has to travel on the short week now, playing Monday night. Now you have to go off to Buffalo. That's not really ideal, and I get it. You still have the best coach, have 1-5 pulling the trigger there, but it's a different environment, and you could bet the fans are going to be involved in this one. This is a game Buffalo has to have, and you're going to give me them in the primetime game, getting the 2 points in the non-playoff game.
Yep.
Playoff game, I'd be all over KC in this one. Non-playoff game, this is where McDermott excels. He'll win this game. He'll lose the one in the playoffs. Give me the Bills, best bet of the week.
Love it. Love it.
Average Sports Dad, you look like you agree.
I do. I like Buffalo a lot. Like he said, non-playoff game was a big key. I was like, Bills own them in the regular season. The Chiefs own them in the playoffs. I mean, have we seen the Bills in the Super Bowl in the last few years? No, it's been the Chiefs. So until McDermott gets over that hump, it's be the Chiefs in the playoffs, Bills in the regular season.
All right. So, CT, thank you so much for your time, man. We really appreciate it. I know I do. Average Sports Dad, Cousin Craig, thank you so much for just coming on and hanging out with us with a bunch of guys talking football. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no problem. I had a ball. This was a lot of fun, and would love to do it again sometime. Like I was telling you guys, I haven't really done many shows this year outside of my own, so it was nice not to have to listen to Dan blab about Sacramento versus Sacramento State, and have Jules and I making fun of them that it's going way too long. So this was cool to mix it up. I had a really good time with you guys, and we'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely. We'll talk Patriots next time too. So
sure, would love to. We could talk any game, any team in the NFL, college basketball, and college football anytime you want.
So with that being said, that's another episode of -7 Sports, the New Sports Network. You know how I like to sign it off. You gotta go home, but you gotta get the hell up out of here. Good luck this weekend.